Howdy. Welcome to the Tony DeGonia Show. We're coming to you straight out of East Texas. So find you a spot where you get some good signal, grab you a glass of sweet iced tea, and get ready, because we're jumping in feet first. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Tony DeGonia, host of the Tony DeGonia Show. This is episode number 36 of the Tony DeGonia Show and episode number 1 of Beast Mode Life. I am so glad that you guys decided to join me today. We've got a new thing going on here, Tony DeGonia Show, and it is called Beast Mode Life. Now, if anybody has seen me on LinkedIn or any of the other social media channels that I utilize, then you've probably heard that term before. But essentially, I just want to tell you about Beast Mode Life. It's not a group you can join. It's not a club. It's not anything like that. Beast Mode Life is about living life so that you live it for what you love and what you believe in. It is it's doing what you have to do, and instead of having to do it, you want to do it. It's living life to the fullest. I have a mantra, be awesome because you are awesome. It's being awesome because you are awesome. But mostly it's about having confidence that's unshakable in everything you do. It's about knowing that no matter the situation, you've got what it takes, even if secretly you're not sure. The world may be tough, but when you're living a beast mode life, you're tougher, more resilient, with a never say die attitude. Beast mode life is a state of mind, a way of living your life that means you never quit, never give up, and never back down. It's not just for the winner. It's for those who have never won before. In spite of a losing record, they keep showing up and playing the game because they know that if they work hard enough, practice long enough, and give it all they have, then victory will be theirs. Beast Mode Life is for those of us with our backs against the wall. Those of us who, when we finally win, the taste of victory will be sweet. And one victory is all it takes to drive us to excellence. One win, one job, one compliment, one new friend, someone to care. That's the Beast Mode Life. So let's all live it. It's not an exclusive life, and everyone can join. So let's do this together. You'll find that on the homepage of my website, TonyDeGonia.com. That is essentially, that sums up what Beast Mode Life is about. And so there's a series of articles that I've curated and some that I've written that cover, Beast Mode Life, that, you can actually read these articles and they're going to help you do things better. They're going to help you search for jobs better. They're going to help you better in your career, with your employment. They're going to educate you. They're going to show you and teach you how to be successful in life. That doesn't mean that you're the richest or that you drive the nicest car or that you wear the fancy clothes. But what it means is whatever success means to you, these are ways to get there. These are things that you can do. I am looking at starting some new classes to help teach folks how to be more successful on social media and on LinkedIn, things like that. And they're going to be free. Because I think the number one thing when you're living a beast mode life that you can do is give back to those around you, is be there, is be willing to help, and tell people, it's okay to tell them, hey, I'm here if you need me. What can I do to help you? Those are the people remember. They don't remember your failures. They really don't remember your successes. But what they remember is the hand that you put out when they're down to help to lift them up. What they remember, is, when the going's tough, who stuck with them? When they were broke, who continued to talk to them regardless of how much money they had in the bank? It's not about that. It's about more than that. It's about the person. And I've got a few friends that I talk to on a regular basis that they're like that. It doesn't matter if I've got $1 million in the bank or I've got a net account balance in the bank. They're thick and thin friends. And those are the kind of friends that you need to surround yourself with. Because you don't deserve anything less. You only deserve more. I've got a really good friend. His name's Daryl Probst. He's been on the show. And another really great friend, Rob McGath. He's been on the show as well. Daryl and I go back 4 or 5 years, and we've been through some tough times together as friends. And he's one of those people that you're better for knowing. Get to know this guy. And Rob, I've known Rob for at least 30 years, and his wife and his family, and they're just fantastic people. I just love them to death, all of them. As a matter of fact, I've known Rob since before he got married to his wife Mary, and they've been married longer than I have. I think they're sitting at about 25, 26 years. And so he and I actually served in the military together up in Alaska. And, when you spend that kind of time with somebody, it's not a relationship that's easily lost or thrown away. And I lost touch with Rob for a while. Probably 20 years. And then I ran across him one day on Facebook. And it's pretty much a weekly call since then. Just because when you find somebody that you lost, you make sure you don't lose them again. And so anyway, not to dwell on that too much, but there's just a couple things we're going to talk about today. I don't watch a lot of TV. I don't like a lot of TV. I think it is a waste of space and time for the most part. There's only a couple of shows that I really watch. I don't know if any of you guys out there watch Shameless. It's on Showtime. It is not a family-friendly show, but it's a pretty good show. And then I've recently gotten really, really, really into a show called Mr. Robot. Now, if you know my passion for cybersecurity and things like that, then you would know Mr. Robot is about a hacker. And some of the stuff that he does on the show almost not realistic. I mean, it's a show, so there's creative license that goes on. But some of the rants that he has in his head, his name is Elliot, that's the main character. Some of the rants that he has in his head are fantastic. It takes a real psychology to do to come up with some of the rants that he comes up with. And so I like listening and watching the show, if nothing else, just because of the rants. But the show's good. I mean, it kind of sucks you in, and you're like, man, I can't stop watching. It's a great show. So there's a rant in season 1, episode 1. And the reason I guess I like the rants that he does is because everybody has those times in their life when they're just like, the hell with it all. Why do I have to do things this way? Why do I have to live life this way? Why? We question everything. I mean, as human beings, we should be questioning everything. Accepting anything at face value because we give up our own ability to live autonomously when we don't question everything. Then we become subjects of whomever is telling us to do the things that we have to do. And I'm not cool with that. I like to live autonomously, and I like to be my own person. So anyway, I'm going to play this rant for you, and you guys let me know what you think about it. All right? So we'll let Elliot take it from here.
Hello, friend. Hello, friend. That's lame. Maybe I should give you a name. But that's a slippery slope. You're only in my head. We have to remember that. Shit. It's actually happened. I'm talking to an imaginary person. What I'm about to tell you is top secret. A conspiracy bigger than all of us. There's a powerful group of people out there that are secretly running the world. I'm talking about the guys no one knows about, the guys that are invisible. The top 1% of the top 1%, the guys that play God without permission. And now I think they're following me. This is about last night. I should have gone to Angela's birthday party. Instead, I went to... She's really bad at reading people, but I'm good at reading people. My secret, I look for the worst in them. I know she went through a divorce 4 years ago. I know she was devastated by it and has been dating losers on eHarmony ever since. Her most recent foray, Michael Hansen. I searched for him online, but nothing came up. No LinkedIn, no Facebook, nothing. Something about him bugs me, scratching that part of my mind again. But I'll hack him soon enough, I always do.
I know you're not yelling like before, which is good. But I can tell you're still holding on to it. And we need to work on your anger issues, Elliot. You're angry at everyone. At society.
Society?
I know you have a lot to be angry about, but keeping it to yourself and staying quiet like you're doing, it's not going to help you. There's pain underneath. That's where our work needs to go. What is it about society that disappoints you so much?
Oh, I don't know. Is it that we collect collectively thought Steve Jobs was a great man, even when we knew he made billions off the backs of children. Or maybe it's that it feels like all our heroes are counterfeit. The world itself's just one big hoax. Spamming each other with our running commentary bullshit masquerading as insight. Our social media faking as intimacy. Or is it that we voted for this? Not with our rigged elections, but with our things, our property, our money. I'm not saying anything new. We all know why we do this, not because Hunger Games books makes us happy, but because we want to be sedated. Because it's painful not to pretend. Because we're cowards. Society.
Elliot, you're not saying anything. What's wrong?
Nothing. Don't be frustrated.
Why shouldn't I be?
You're different than most. You at least try. You at least understand.
Understand what?
What it's like to feel alone. You understand the pain. You want to protect people from it. You want to protect me from it. I respect that about you.
Why do you think I know what it's like to feel alone?
Shit. From her emails?
Elliot?
I don't know.
That was Elliot from Mr. Robot. Elliot is played by an actor by the name of Rami Malek. He's actually of Egyptian heritage. He's a real interesting guy. He hasn't done a lot in the way of acting, but he does have a couple of things under his belt. And I think Mr. Robot is one that'll go down as a very successful career. So from there, we're going to move on, and we're going to take a look at some of the headlines that I've curated over the past 6 or 8 days. Just a couple of things going on. Back from July 24th, that's when posted, or it was when it was written. I posted it just a few days ago. It's an article entitled Cyber War, What Happens When a Nation-State Cyber Attack Kills. And then the next one is Ethical Standards for Artificial Intelligence are important, and here's why. From just a couple of days ago, I posted that Cheddar's experienced a hack. And then, of course, if you look at the website at all, you'll see that T-Mobile got hacked. We posted their official statement. And then we have another article about T-Mobile getting hacked and more details about what actually happened. Then we have an article posted, Senator John McCain passed away after halting medical treatment for brain cancer. Then we have an article that I posted just today. Free cybersecurity services are being offered to states to secure the upcoming elections. And then another article, they would put out the stats on different kinds of attacks in the first half of the year this year. And 94%, there's a 94% jump in fileless attacks in the first half of 2018. And I'm sorry, I had to go back and enunciate better. I do live in East Texas, and we all sound a little bit like rednecks out here, so I just want to make sure that everybody who's listening could understand what I said. So it wasn't an error. It was just ensuring that those who don't redneck can understand what I'm saying. I think we'll take a look at the cyber war And how about the fileless attacks? It jumped 94% in the first half of 2018. Open this up. Now, all these articles are on TonyDeGonia.com. You can catch them there. And cyber war. What happens when a nation state a cyber attack kills? This article was written by Danny Palmer on July 24th, 2018. A cyber attack that kills someone is getting ever more likely. What happens then is a big and scary question. The increasing sophistication and power of a state-backed cyber attacks has led some experts to fear that sooner or later, by design or by accident, one of these incidents will result in somebody getting killed. If it hasn't already, I'm pretty sure it probably has, and they just don't know about it. It might sound far-fetched, but a former head of the UK's intelligence agency has already warned about the physical threat posed by cyber attacks and the potential danger or damage they could do. Nation states are getting more sophisticated, and they're getting more brazen. They're getting less worried about being caught and being named, and of course, that's a feature of geopolitics, said Robert Hannigan, who served as Director General of GCHQ from 2014 to 2017. The problem is the risk of miscalculation is huge, he said, speaking at a security conference in London last month. If you start to tamper with industrial control systems, if you start to tamper with healthcare systems and networks, it feels like it's a matter of time before somebody gets hurt and somebody is ultimately killed. The mention of health systems is a reminder, perhaps, of last year's WannaCry ransomware outbreak, which crippled large parts of the UK's National Health Service. Thousands of appointments were cancelled, causing disruption and inconvenience for patients around the country. No critical systems were hit, but given the nature of WannaCry, which is the US, UK, and others have blamed on North Korea, that is likely due to luck rather than planning. With attacks against hospitals, transport, power plants, and other critical national infrastructure, attackers are playing a dangerous game. But that hasn't stopped clandestine targeted campaigns against infrastructure. Perhaps the most famous example is Stuxnet, malware designed to damage Iranian boy, they stuck those two words together, centrifuges, which was uncovered in 2010. The destructive attack on the industrial systems put Iran's nuclear program back by years and is believed to have been a joint cyber operation by the U.S. and Israel. However, Stuxnet was designed to be limited in its impact. In the years since, those attacking industrial control systems are becoming more reckless. This was demonstrated in December last year when hackers used malware to disrupt emergency shutdown systems at a critical infrastructure firm in the Middle East. Analysis of the Triton malware by researchers at security company FireEye suggests that the shutdown was unintentional and that it was inadvertently caused while preparing for the malware to do physical damage. The shutdown came as a result of a fail-safe mechanism, and no physical damage was done. But the unpredictable nature of the malware could have resulted in much worse. If the intent of the attacking group was to make the plan explode, lives lost by cyber attack could have happened. Jing Zi, senior threat intelligence analyst at Venafi, told ZDNet. I have no doubt it's a matter of time that someday cyber attacks will definitely cause direct harm to people, she added. So what happens when a cyber attack by one nation state leads to loss of life inside another country? In 2014, NATO updated its policy so that a serious cyber attack could be covered by Article 5, its collective defense clause. Legal experts have also made it clear that a serious digital attack could be considered to be the equivalent of an armed attack. But what would happen in reality is still uncertain. It's been a debate in policy circles for over a decade, if not longer, when cyber activity crosses over into a domain which needs a kinetic response from a military source, said John Condra, Director of Asia Pacific Research at Flashpoint. The current legal system which exists around war isn't necessarily up to date with this type of problem. The borders of cyberspace are much more malleable and unclear, so it's not entirely clear when a nation state has a moral or ethical right to react in a forceful way. If one of these attacks did a substantial loss of life and could be clearly attributed to a nation state, there would have to be some sort of serious response, said Condra. Even outside the ethical and moral factors, the political pressure inside the country affected to do something substantial would probably force hands. Others take a more straightforward view. For Giovanni Vigna, professor in the Department of Computer Science at the University of California, Santa Barbara, and co-founder of security firm Lastline, it's simple. It's an actual war, he said. It would very likely trigger hostilities, said Jonathan Reber, Chief Strategy Officer for Cybersecurity in the Office of the Secretary of Defense under the Obama administration, now the head of cybersecurity strategy at Illumio. That's because it's like an attack in any other domain, he continued, adding, in 2015, we declared that cyber attacks of significant consequence will require a response, and the U.S. will respond in a time, manner, and place of its choosing to an attack on the United States. The response may not be through cyber means, he added, referring to the DoD cyber strategy report he authored. One of the key issues with cyber war is that it's often difficult to provide proof of who's behind attacks. Cyber attackers operating at all levels do as much as possible in order to cover their tracks and avoid being hit with the blame. In the case of the Triton incident, the attacks haven't been formally attributed other than by researchers pointing to it being the work of a state-sponsored group. Attribution is the sticky bit. Attribution is broken to some extent, said Reschke. A case in point is the Olympic destroyer malware, which targeted South Korea during this year's Winter Olympics. In the days following the attack, research firms published conflicting reports on attribution. China, North Korea, and Russia were all claimed as the origin of the malware. The problem with attribution is it's extremely difficult. It becomes almost a guessing game, said Vigna. You might find artifacts that suggest a particular operation, but what if somebody left those to deceive? Somebody left something in Russian to blame the Russians. So unless you have some sort of side channel to confirm this happened, it becomes very difficult to determine who did what. But sometimes attackers do slip up, and the authorities can determine who conducted the campaign. WannaCry was traced to North Korea, and NotPetya has been attributed to the Russian military. In the case for a cyber attack, which caused loss of life and can be traced to a perpetrator, it's likely that the victim would want to react, though not necessarily by another cyber attack. The United States has issued sanctions against Russia for its involvement in cyber attacks. An attack has resulted in loss of life, would demand a greater response. In the most extreme circumstances, a nation could decide that the only response to a harmful cyber attack on its soil could be a military response. Such a response would probably be in reaction to substantial loss of life, but in the complex world of international geopolitics, even the smallest spark could lead to an unprecedented reaction. I don't know what point we get to when things start to get destructive, and when that tipping point is. It's always hard to measure those tipping points when a country decides enough is enough, said Retzke. Speaking to the Info Security Europe conference in London, Hannigan suggested an attack that led to the death of citizens would lead to physical response. If one of their attacks had ended up with patients in the U.S. dying or being seriously harmed, the pressure on the U.S. government to do something, and to do something pretty physical and decisive, would be huge. It would be for any Western politician, but particularly in the U.S., he said. Fortunately, there is yet to be a nation-state-backed cyber attack which is thought to have directly led to the harm or death of a citizen in any other country, which means it is late to come to agreements on what an appropriate response to such an event could be. The international community needs to come to some sort of consensus about how these types of activities are going to be responded to, what kind of consequences there will be for them, said Condra. For Reber, one way to stop escalation is to ensure cyber attacks are punished as an act of deterrent. Any kind of cyber intrusion that occurs, whether it's the theft of $50, a destructive attack, or election manipulation, requires some sort of punitive cost back on the actor. If actors perceive that a range of actions are permissible, they'll pursue a whole range we can't necessarily imagine. But if you begin to impose costs for all of them, then that says the world is rallying against what they're doing and they need to stop. But for all this talk of aggression and punishment, there's likely only one thing which could prevent a destructive cyber attack by a nation state causing loss of life in the first place. Technology doesn't kill people. People kill people. To a degree, you have to take a step back and set the political conditions for resolving disputes between states or between people within a state at a political level, said Raber. Over time, that will decrease the chance that a group would use cyberspace operations against an opposing party. Clearly, peace between a pair of states will decrease the likelihood of attacks. Now, what I will say is I don't wish that any cyber attack would cause harm. And while it is fun to sit back and try to figure out what means a cyber attacker or a hacker uses to pull off an attack, that's just kind of the competitive aspect of, being a technologist, is to go out and find a particular problem and find a solution for it. That's what technologists do. They have a and usually it's a fairly short-range goal, and that goal is to carry out a particular task, in this case, to stop an attacker or to track down an attacker or to do the research necessary to pull an attacker into a particular part of a network so that you can see who they are and what they're doing and where they're coming from. The old saying, it's all fun and games until somebody gets their eye put out. This is similar to that. Hacking's all fine and good until you kill somebody. And when you kill somebody, shit gets real fast. It really does. And so that's kind of what I'm taking this, and obviously everyone interviewed here, none of these people can make policy. They may advise on policy or something to that effect, but they're not really making it, and they're not the ones that have to carry it out. So what I find is there are a lot of reactions to things that happen by people who are in the same boat. They don't have to carry it out. They don't have to to do anything for this. They just have to make decisions and put other people in harm's way to do what they want to do. And that's essentially the same thing the hackers are doing. You know, they're shooting people down from afar, basically, is what it boils down to. So it's really, it really takes some level heads to how you're going to handle an attack like this without having been there previously yourself. So if you're going to have a military response, you don't really know what that is like unless you served in the military. So I would venture to say, with the politicians that we have that have served in the military, and with the politicians that we have that respect the military, you know, they're going to find ways to resolve these issues non-militarily. And I think that's kind of what these guys are thinking of. You know, Danny Palmer, who's the writer of this article, while there's a potential for armed conflict, everybody wants to avoid armed conflict. And we even have leaders in our own country who would purposefully not avoid armed conflict simply because they like it. You know, we have the most well-funded military in the world, the most technically advanced military in the world, and some people think, well, hell, why not use them? And what I say is, you know, deterrence is better than armed conflict any day of the week, simply because it saves young men's lives and young women's. You know, I'm not trying to leave the ladies out in armed conflict, though we do like to think that doesn't happen. It's just not true. You know, the Israeli army is stacked full of young women who are serving their country. Our military, you know, we have a lot of young ladies that serve in our military, and we should be very proud of them. So that is that article and kind of opinion on it. And honestly, folks, we're at roughly about 40 minutes or so. So I think what I'm going to do here is we're just going to cut this loose here. Now we do have a public service announcement for our veterans. Being a veteran myself, I do tend to try to support efforts that support our veterans. Not necessarily that I need to take care of them, but I want to make sure we get the word out. There's so many others that you know, that need help in ways that the VA and some other agencies have really put together some good stuff for them. So I strongly encourage on all of my podcasts for the last couple of months, I have a public service announcement about the suicide prevention line and mental health and things like that. I highly recommend just listen to them. They're usually less than a minute to a minute, and they give you some good information. Sometimes they might even help you relate to somebody that's close to you. So check them out. If you like them, tell me about it. Leave me a response. Leave me comments. And if you don't like them, well, you feel free to leave me those comments as well. This is America that I'm in, at least. I'm not sure where you're at, but that's where I'm at. And so, you know, we've fought for our country to have freedoms, freedom of expression. So express yourself. All right? Well, listen, we're going to go ahead and shut this down. And we want to thank you for out with us for the last 30, 40 minutes and listen to everything we wanted to talk about. And with that, I'll bid you adieu, and we'll see you down the road.
3 tours driving Humvees in Afghanistan. 6 years treating soldiers.
12 years flying choppers.
When my sister came back from her last tour in Afghanistan, she didn't want to talk about it, but she knew I was there to listen.
My son saved lives as a medic in the military, and I always remind him how much his service meant to our country.
Sometimes my husband still has difficult memories. They can be overwhelming. With the Veterans Crisis Line, I know where to turn when we need support.
I made the call and got support for my sister.
I called because I was concerned about my son. We got him connected to care, and it's made a difference.
The Veterans Crisis Line is here for all veterans and their loved ones. Call 1-800-273-8255 and press 1 or chat online at veteranscrisisline.net.
Well, y'all, looks like the show's over. So check us out on our website, www.TonyDeGonia.com. Then click on the Tony DeGonia Show button at the top of the page. You can also check us out on YouTube, iTunes, Google Play, Podbean, or Spotify, or any of our social media outlets, which you can find on our website at www.TonyDeGonia.com. Hey, thanks for listening in, and we'll see you down the road.